In this video, we're going to talk about creating your CSC180 page. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to open up Notepad++ and you're going to save it as CSC180page.html. Please be careful with your capitalization and your spelling and make sure you have no spaces. This is going to be a very big deal from now on in HTML. You can save this folder online if you're working at a school computer. If you're working from home, you might want to save it onto your desktop and then put it into your public.www folder after you've finished. Since I'm at school, I'm going to put it directly into my public.www folder, and this is going to go into my CSC180 folder, but not, I repeat, not into the HTML folder. So this is unlike all the other HTML labs we've done so far. I'm going to name this CSC180page.html. Again, no spaces, and some of the letters are capitalized and some aren't. As we start putting links into your web pages, you're going to find that the capitalization is very important. The two pages with different capitalization but the same name will not be work the same as a link. Okay. Next thing I want to do is I want to start with the basic HTML skeleton, as always. So the title of this page is just going to be something like my CSC180 page. And then the body, I'm going to start out with having the title centered, or center, but not having the entire thing centered. I'm going to put them like this. Inside these center tags, I'm going to use the H1. Again, that's not the HL tag, it's the H1 tag. I'm going to call it something like CSC180 page. Very exciting and creative. You're welcome to put colored background on this, whatever you'd like. I'm going to leave mine white for now. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to start an unordered list. Okay, hopefully by now you guys have become fairly familiar with this. So we're going to create this list, and each bullet point is going to be a different lab that we've done. So we're going to kind of separate it a little bit, and we're going to start with the first bullet point being our home page. Okay. The second bullet point is going to be our HTML labs, of which we've had a couple now. And if you remember from sample.html, which we did a couple weeks ago, if I want to have a sublist, I create a new unordered list, like this, right where I want that sublist to be. So in our HTML labs category, we've had our sample web page, and our calendar. Okay, so this is what we've had so far. Make this a little bit smaller. There we go. And I want to see what this looks like now, so I'm going to save this. I'm going to go to my desktop, find my public.www folder because that's where I saved it. If you saved it elsewhere, you're going to need to look elsewhere. Go into my CSC180 folder, and remember we saved this not in the HTML folder. That's going to become very important, but instead just above it inside the CSC180 folder. To resize this, I'm hitting the Control button and then using the click wheel. Okay, so there we are. there's what we've done so far. We've created our home page, and we've done 2 HTML labs. We've created the sample web page, and then the calendar you guys just finished. Okay. What's going to happen is from now on, every time you do a lab, we're going to create another main bullet point, and then whatever files in that lab, you're going to have subfiles like here. So next week we're going to start with Microsoft Word, and so we're going to have a Microsoft Word bullet point right here. And then if we have multiple files, which we should, you're going to have them as sub-bullet points. Okay, so that wasn't so hard so far. The next part, this is where it gets tricky. So now we want to make these links instead of just having them be text. But it's very important when doing links in HTML that you know where everything is. So right now, and this is very important. I really hope that you read through this part of the lab that talks about, here we go, absolute and relative addressing, because this is what we're going to be using now to do these links. So as it says down here, always use absolute addressing when referring to a web page. Okay, I don't have Google's homepage on my personal computer. It's on the internet somewhere. So I need to use this http:// in front of it if I link to a web page. However, any file that you've created, including ones that you've already put up online, but if you originally had them, you need to / relative addressing, which means you're never going to use this h:/ or c:/. You're going to have something that looks kind of like this / something or other. Okay, so this is a relative address. This is an absolute address. Relative address that is unlikely to work unless you personally have Yahoo on your home computer. This is an absolute address, and this is a relative address that is also unlikely to work, right? Because you probably don't have GCC's web page on your home computer. So let's move on. So to do this, now we're going to add these links, and we're going to do relative addressing. So the first thing we need to look at is, where is our CSC180 page located, and what does this mean? Our CSC180 page is located right here. Okay, this is right inside our CSC180 folder. So if I go up a level, there's my CSC180 folder. So the very first link we're going to do to my home page is also known as index.html. That's the actual file name. This is just whatever name we give it. Okay, this does not necessarily have to have anything to do with this. Let me give you an example. So let's go below all of this. I would recommend not doing this right now. This is just as an example to show you. If I wanted to create a link to Google, right, I'm going to use the anchor tag with the href attribute. Now we want to use an absolute address because it's online. There we go. I can save this, save, and then pull it up, refresh, and we have this link to Google. And if I click on it, it takes us to Google. There we go, Google. Right. However, I can change this text to gibberish, and the link still works. It now says gibberish, but if I click on it, it takes me to Google. Okay, so it's important to know that the text you use has nothing to do with where it takes you. It's just what you choose to call it. In fact, if I wanted to be really tricky, really make some people mad here, okay, I could call this Yahoo, and then really confuse somebody, some Yahoo lover who clicks on this, and instead it takes them to Google. Right? So the text doesn't matter. The text is just text. So delete that. So even though the file, your home page, is named index.html, we can call it my home page here. And I'm going to wrap this text my home page with an A tag. Okay, so the question is now what do I put inside this href attribute? So again, we are sitting right here. In order to look at our home page, we have to go up a level, and then sitting right there is index.html. So from the lab write-up, you saw that to go up a level, you need to use this .. So that's what we're going to do. So we want to go up one level, and then look at index.html. I'm going to save and check it out, make sure everything's working properly. There we go. Now it shows it's a link, and if I click on it, it's going to take me to my web page. Okay. Now, if you use the wrong spelling or capitalization here, this will not work. If you have spaces anywhere, it will not work. Okay, so you need to be very careful. If it's not working for you, before you come to my office hours or go all the way to campus to go to the CSC Solutions, or even before you send me an email, check your capitalization, check your spelling, and check your spacing. Okay, and that goes for all of these parts, the entire thing. Okay, so we have this one now working. Let's go back. And now we want to put links to the two labs we've done. This is how I'm going to grade you from now on. Okay, so if you want credit, I need to be able to click on your links so that I can give you credit for your web pages. Okay, so I'm going to have an A tag with the href attribute around this text. There we go. Now this one's slightly different. The question you should always ask yourself is, where am I? Well, I, in this example, is this page that we're working on. And this page is the CSC180 page, which is right here. Okay. Compared relative to where we are, the sample web page is down a level into HTML, and it's right there, into our HTML folder. Okay, so to do this, I need to go down a level. Well, to go down, I can say I start at the current level. I want to go into my HTML folder and then find my sample.html. Okay, so again, this means from the current folder, go into my HTML folder, and then inside there, let's look at the sample.html. Save. Okay, from now, this is now showing up as a link, and if I click on that link, there we go, it's taken me to my sample.html. Oh, I need to fix that. Okay. So again, it's very important that you figure out where you're coming from and where you're going if you're using relative addressing. And you need to use relative addressing for all of these links in your CSC180 page. So now for the last one here today, it's calendar. Calendar happens to be in the same place as sample. They're both in the HTML folder, which means they are both one level below where we are here. We don't need to go up anywhere. We just need to go into this HTML folder. I like to make sure I get both open and closing tag done first. There we go. Now, if you spell calendar with an E here, this is not going to work. At the very least, you need to match your spelling. I don't actually care how you spell it. I'm very bad at spelling myself. But what you do need to do is match how you spelled the words. Okay, there we go. There we go. And our calendar now has a link to it. If you click on there, it's going to take you to the calendar. It's a little bit squished right now because this window is so small. That's fine. So now there's only one part left to this lab. And that is a very important part. Notice if you just go online and you go to your home page, which is where I have your information. I know how to get to your home page. How do I know how to find your CSC180 page? I had you write it somewhere in your home page, and I had you do that for a reason. And that reason is we're now going to turn that into a link to your CSC180 page. So what I want you to do now, after you have this working and you've debugged everything here, you're going to open your home page, index.html, in Notepad++. Okay, yours is going to look differently than mine, but somewhere in this page, you should have the text CSC180. It needs to be in a place I can find it when I go to grade your labs. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into a link. So I'm going to wrap this in an A tag. And remember, this is just text, so this can have spaces in it, no problem. This, I don't care what it looks like. But here, it matters. So now let's think again about where we are and where we're coming from and where we're going to. Here, we're our index.html. We want to link to our CSC180 page. The CSC180 page is inside this folder, so we need to go down into this folder, and then it's right there. Okay, down into the CSC180 folder. If your folder has spaces in it, this will not work. Okay, down into your CSC180 folder, and then once we're in that folder, it's just right there, CSC180 page.html. Watch your capitalization and spelling and spacing. There we go. And now, if you go to your home page and you refresh it, and you go down, you should see that link somewhere on your home page. And I need to be able to click on that link, and from there, go back to your home page, go to your sample web page, go to your calendar, and so on. Okay? In order to get checked off for today and future labs, this all needs to be working, which means you need to make sure you get help if you're really still struggling with this. Okay?